My name is Ariana. I am 22 years old. I live in Paris with my father. My mother passed away when I was very young, so it has always been just me and him. I have never been with a man before. I believe in my values. I always thought love should be special. I always wanted my father to choose someone worthy for me. My father always said, men lie, men cheat, men destroy lives. And I believed him, because my father is not a normal man. He is a private detective. One evening, my father had a client. His name was Arthur. My father looked at me and said, Ariana, go to your room. But that night I didn't listen. I stood quietly outside the door. Arthur's voice was shaking. My wife is cheating on me, he said, with a man named Lorenzo. There was silence. Then Arthur said something that made my heart stop. I want him gone. My father did not answer, but I understood. This was not just anger. This was something dangerous. That night, I could not sleep. I kept thinking about Lorenzo, a man I had never met, but a man who might be in danger. The next day, I went to the police, but they did not believe me. We cannot act without proof, they said. I felt helpless. So I made a choice, a stupid choice. I decided to warn him myself. That evening, I went to the hotel. My hands were shaking. My heart was beating fast. Then I saw him, Lorenzo. He was dancing with a woman, Arthur's wife. He was older, much older, around 60 years old. But there was something about him, calm, powerful, dangerous. I walked toward him. You are in danger, I said softly. Before he could answer, the door opened with a bang. Arthur stood there, his eyes full of rage. His wife ran away quickly. Arthur looked around the room. He looked at Lorenzo, then at me. In that moment, I understood something. If Arthur saw the truth, everything would explode. So I did something I never imagined. I stepped closer to Lorenzo. I held his arm. Then I looked at Arthur and said, Why are you shouting? We are just talking. Arthur's eyes narrowed. Who are you? He asked. My heart was racing. I moved even closer to Lorenzo. I am his girlfriend, I said. For a second, the world went silent. I could feel Lorenzo looking at me, but I did not look at him. Arthur looked confused. He searched the room, but there was nothing to find. Slowly he left. The door closed. Then Lorenzo turned to me. Girlfriend? He said with a small smile. I stepped back quickly. I just helped you, I said. He looked at me carefully. "What is your name?" I shook my head. "No." He smiled again. "Then I will call you the thin girl." My heart beat faster. I turned and left. But something stayed behind. The next morning, I was in the kitchen, drinking coffee, trying to forget everything. Then the doorbell rang. I opened the door. A bouquet of flowers with a card. It said, "To the girl who saved my life. I want to see you again." My hands trembled. I knew I should not go, but I wanted to. When I met him again, he looked at me like he already knew me. "Tell me about yourself," he said. I shook my head. "No." "Then tell me something true." I don't know why, but I lied. "I have been with many men," I said. "I am not innocent." For the first time, his expression changed. He looked jealous, but also unsure. "Is that true?" he asked. I looked away. Yes, but it was a lie, a big lie. Days turned into weeks. I kept seeing Lorenzo. We walked together. We ate together. We laughed. We danced. He took me to a cruise party. There were people everywhere, but when he looked at me, it felt like nothing else mattered. I knew he was not a good man. I knew he had many women, but with me, he felt different, and that scared me the most. One afternoon, we were sitting on the grass, having a picnic. Then suddenly, I saw Claude, my father's man. He saw us. My heart stopped. "I have to go," I said quickly. I ran away. That night, my phone rang. It was my father. His voice was not calm. "Ariana, what are you doing with your life?" he said. "I know everything," he continued. "I know you are with Lorenzo." My hands began to shake. "Stay away from him," he said firmly. "He is dangerous." I tried to speak, but no words came out. "He is older. You are young. You don't understand men like him. If you don't listen to me, we will leave the city." Then the call ended. My heart was beating fast, but I didn't cry. I just stood there thinking about Lorenzo. The next few days felt strange. I stayed home. I tried to act normal, but inside, my mind was somewhere else. At night, I could not sleep. I kept asking myself one question: why him? I wanted to see him again. A few days later, I stood outside his hotel. I told myself I should go back, but I still walked inside. When I knocked on his door, Lorenzo stood there. He looked surprised. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he stepped aside. "Come in," he said. A suitcase lay open on the bed. Clothes were inside. "You are really leaving?" I said softly. "Yes," he replied. He did not look at me. that hurt more than anything. Will you come back? I asked. He shook his head slightly. I don't know. Then he said something that broke me. This was nothing. I don't care about you. Those words broke something inside me. He walked toward the door. Stop! I cried. Tears fell from my eyes. Everything I told you was a lie. I have never been with any man before. I was scared. I didn't want you to think I was weak. I don't know why, but I love you. Then suddenly, he walked back to me. He pulled me into his arms. You foolish girl, he whispered. Then he said my name, Ariana. I froze. How do you know my name? He smiled softly. I knew from the beginning. I was being followed, he said, by your father. Everything became clear. I knew who you were, but I wanted to see if you would tell me the truth. He touched my face gently, and now you did. Then he kissed me. And in that moment, I realized something dangerous. The man my father warned me about was the man I chose anyway.